Hey, it's Brantley Blended. We're in the basement. Coming up, we're going to be working on these shelves. So we got a nice area down here to kind of expand the home. First, we got to get cleaned up. We've got junk and clutter everywhere. We've been living here about 2 months. We got to get things organized so we can start using this space. So that's the plan. We want to put some shelves down here. Now in the past, I've had a garage that I kept things in, and I tried to buy some nice plastic shelves. I tried to buy metal racks that would hold heavy totes. I'm just going to build some shelves. It's probably going to be cheaper. I've actually got a bunch of sheets of plywood laying here from leftover from when they built the house. All I have to do is buy the 2x4s, screw them together. We're not trying to get fancy here. We're just trying to make some shelves to put all the crap in the floor. We're going to put all that stuff in the shelves so we can start using this space. So the first thing I want to do before I cut my board, you can adjust how deep the blade goes. I usually make about half the tooth to a full tooth go below my wood. This is not really a complete how-to guide. It's just kind of what I'm doing and how I do things. And as a general safety tip, I don't always follow the best safety guidelines, but you probably shouldn't have the saw plugged in while you're adjusting the blade. Alright, right there I got about a full tooth below the wood. And lock it down on my saw. It's right here. You just tighten it down. There you go. We're ready to cut. You got to plug in the power. It would probably also help if we actually marked where we're going to cut. Now, just going to rip them in half. Shelves are going to be 2 feet wide. That's plenty of room for boxes and totes and all the other junk we like to keep. For whatever reason, we keep it. If you're going to be cutting something long and you need to mark a long line, of course it helps to have a chalk line. It's a piece of string with chalk on it. Okay, so if anything, if I want the shelves to look a little bit better, I'll put the factory straight edge on the outside, and the edge that I just cut will go against the basement wall. So even if somebody is down there looking at it, oh, it looks pretty good, they won't see the way I cut. Now I actually feel like that went pretty good. I stayed pretty straight. One problem with using chalk though, it's as the blade is spinning, it seems like it's blowing the chalk away. So sometimes it's kind of hard to see the line, where if you actually drew a pencil, it might stay there. It might be easier to see while you're cutting. Now, one thing you can do, you can actually take 3 or 4 sheets of plywood and stack them on top of each other, sandwich them together, clamp them together, and just cut them all 4 or 3 at one time. I personally have not had good luck with that. I don't know if I'm not clamping them tight enough. Whatever, they end up moving. They just don't look right. So I'm going to do it the slow way today. I'm going to cut each piece individually. Also, I do have a table saw here, but sometimes it's just easier to pull out a circular saw and just do it that way. To use my table saw, I'd have to set up some additional tables or something around it. I mean, this thing is heavy, so as I'm trying to push it through there, I either got to have somebody helping me, which I don't have anybody here right now, or I got to have some other tables around the saw for this wood to kind of go on top of as you're cutting it. It's complicated, really. It's just easier, faster to mark the board and use a circular saw. Good morning. Welcome back. We're in the basement again. We're going to try to get these basement shelves completed. Originally, I was going to make them 2 feet deep, 12 feet long. But I don't know if you've priced lumber lately. It is ridiculous, very expensive. So we're just gonna make them 2 feet deep, 8 feet long. That cut my build cost, the material cost, about in half. So that'll be good for now. I can always build more later if I need them. This is nice, staring right into the sun. It was raining for 3 days out here and it's very muddy and swampy, so I'll take it. I'm happy to see the sun. Okay, my shelves are going to be 2 feet deep. So this would be the front of the shelf. This would be the back against the wall. So if you got 2 feet, 24 inches, the piece in the middle is going to be 21 inches. Again, I'm not looking for perfection here. They're going to be in the basement. It doesn't really matter to me if they look perfect or if everything's lined up. We're just trying to get some shelves built. I don't know if these birds are showing up, but we got birds and critters out here just going crazy all of a sudden. Maybe they're trying to warn me about something in the woods behind me, I don't know. So we're gonna have 3 shelves, a piece on each end, so I need to cut 6 2x4s at 21 inches. I'm gonna have a piece of plywood or OSB screwed down to the top of this, so that's gonna keep everything pretty tight. Alright, we got our 6 and my hands are covered in mud. I've got mud on my clothes already from the cord to the saw. It's crazy, it's so muddy out here. But what are you gonna do? Whenever I'm screwing wood together, I usually pre-drill it. This little thing, it's got your drill bit, it's got the little countersink bit on it. It just helps the wood from splitting, even though I'm not really worried about looks. It also helps it look a little bit better. All right, we'll change the bit out and start screwing these things together. Okay, that's it. The main point is just screw them together. Doesn't really matter exactly how you do it. Now I need to cut my legs for the shelves. It's going to be easier to show this inside when I start putting it together, but I'm going to have 3 shelves and I want 2 feet in between each shelf. So it's not just going to be 6 feet tall. It's actually going to be 6 feet plus 10.5 inches tall, because you got to allow room for each shelf that is a 2x4. It's 3.5 inches tall. So I can't really explain it. I'm going to go ahead and cut all these boards, and then maybe I can show you when we get inside putting it together. Of course, first I got to move all this junk out of the way. I got a lot of extra building materials left over from building the house. If you don't already know, we just built this house about 2 months ago, and this is actually a lot of the extra plywood or OSB that I have. I did not factor this into the cost of building these shelves. Technically, I've already paid for it because I paid for all the building materials, but I'm just considering it to be free for this job. All the 2x4s, I think I spent about $40, and I already had all the screws. But you know, if I would have used 12-foot 2x4s like I said earlier and built it the way I really wanted it, 12 feet long, I would have probably spent $100 in materials. And so whatever, I lost 4 feet, I'm saving like $50. We got everything marked. Now I'm going to pre-drill for my screws. thing I forgot to do was mark the middle of the shelf where the middle 2x4 was going, so you just saw me do that. Let's start screwing this thing together. I'm using 3-inch screws for this whole project. I am notorious for building things with screws that are too short, and it causes problems later. So screwing these 2x4s together, the screw is actually poking out a little bit on the other side, which should not be a problem. I don't think anybody would ever have their hand in there for any reason. That actually wasn't that bad. I built one of these before, did it the same way, and it seems like it was a lot heavier, but that really wasn't too bad. As you can see, I've got just clamps to temporarily hold it, and I'm just going to start one leg at a time and screw them on. We're going to try something different. I'm going to try this impact driver. I've actually not had a lot of good luck using this before. It seems like all it does is strip the bit or strip the screw. But for some reason, driving these 3-inch screws seems to be wearing out my drill. So we're going to give this a try and see if it works better. Okay, so if you don't know, plywood and OSB usually has a smooth side and a rough side. So I'm putting the smooth side on the top. Up until now, I've been using 3-inch screws. To screw down the OSB, I'm just going to use these little drywall screws, 1 5/8. All right, there they are. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. The last thing I have to do is get some straps. I'm going to strap it to the wall. My kids are a little bit older. I don't think they'll be climbing on it, but there's still the potential for this thing. You know, you get it loaded up heavy, you never know, it could fall over. So I'm going to put a couple of straps on it, strap it to the wall. So as usual, every time I think I'm done with the project, I'm never really done. I thought I had the metal strapping here. I've looked around. I don't have any, so I'm almost done, but whatever. The next time I go to the store, I'll pick some up and we'll put it on there. All right, there we go. We got a bunch of junk on there. I've actually got a lot more in the floor over here. So of course, I'm gonna have to build another set of shelves. That'll be another project for another day.